Hi guys, welcome to Conversations with Karen and Maya. I'm Karen.
And I'm Maya.
And welcome back guys. And this is the segment where we discuss just about anything that's on our minds, anything that's made us laugh the last couple of days, or things that we talk about and just make us smile. And so today, from the title, you can tell like how did we meet? Obviously, that's not how did we meet because
that story has a lot of gore.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty obvious. So anyway, so today is a story time. It's a story. The story. Today is a story time. For whatever reason, our girls think how the hubster and I met is very interesting. So we thought that would be really good to share, and then from there we could talk about like how that carries over to how I feel about that happening now. So let's get into it. So anything you want to ask me?
How did you and Dad meet?
How did we meet? Okay, so
I already know this, guys, by the way.
Yeah.
This is not the first time we've had this conversation.
Yeah, and most of the time I don't really share a whole lot about it simply because the way we met is so kind of serendipitous that, you know, when you tell people about it, they're like, would you do that today? Anyway, so I'll just, give you all.
Why does your voice do that?
Oh, why does my voice do that? I don't know. But, my friends tell me I have voices for people. So like, they're like, what's your voice for me? Does anybody else do that? Because I have a voice that I use if I'm talking about Maya, what she's saying. Anyway, we are rambling at this point, but I do voices for people. Like, if I know somebody else out there does it. If you're talking about a particular person, sometimes you will try to take on that person's voice and, to emulate them in a way.
No one sounds that
and no one,
you just made.
And she's always like, I don't sound like that. Or people would just say, I don't sound like that, Karen. But anyway.
Back to the point.
So, to answer your question. So, what happened was, I was, I had friends. I was in college. And at the time, I lived in England, going to university there. And
why were you in England?
Why was I? Oh, good question. Interviews. So I was in England because my father was in the Air Force and we had been stationed there for like years. Like, for anybody who's military, about homesteading. Like, you really can't homestead at overseas assignments, but you can stay there for a very long time if you just keep extending. And for those who don't know, in the military, if you homestead, you're like staying at a place for like over 8 years. And you could do that stateside, but when you live overseas, it's very difficult because they're trying to give you
10 years, according to production.
Wait. Oh no, it's 7 years. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I was correct about production. Okay, so generally in the I don't know how it works for other services, but I know in the Air Force, it's according to production is 7 years of homesteading. So apparently that's likely what my dad did because we had already been there for 7 years. And by this time I was in college. So you make friends in college and what have you. And I had these friends. Oh, production
does some stuff. So we start randomly smiling and a little crazy. It's production's fault.
It's production's fault.
And
getting back. Okay. Okay. So I had some really great friends, and anyway, and they had a particular person that they wanted me to meet. They thought we would be really good to meet, and so they set me up on a blind date. And so for the blind date, we were supposed to meet up at their home, and then from their home, we would go to dinner. And so I carried my little happy self over to their home.
So you willingly went on the blind date?
I was down. I was like, this may be interesting. This may be good, maybe fun, maybe a really nice dude, he was also in the Air Force. He was also in college at the time. So, I'm thinking like, hey, this may work out. So I get to the home and meet the gentleman. And first off, he, instead of giving me his real name, he told me his nickname, and that just didn't go over well because he said his nickname was Tricky. So I can say that because anyway, he said his nickname was Tricky, and I thought, why would can I get your real name? I'm giving you my real name. Can you give me your real name? So it just went downhill from there.
Doesn't sound really good for a blind date.
No,
I will trick you. Like,
yeah.
that's what this
So I was like, and mind you, this is well before the age of social media. So there's no way you can go and check out who this person is. There's no like online real dating site. None of that. There's no internet, like not as we know it today. And so it just didn't go over well, and it started out abysmal. I'll just say it like that. It just didn't go well. Before we even left their home to get in the car to go to dinner, we were already barely speaking. Like, and we had only been at their house for like 15 minutes. It seemed like every part of the conversation we tried to like pick up, it was just not going well at all. And so we end up at, we went to the base, and on base they'll have like restaurants and whatnot. Some bases have restaurants, other bases don't. But this one was called for anybody who's in Mildenhall, this place was called the Galaxy Club. So anybody who was stationed in Mildenhall, England, if you remember the Galaxy Club, let me know. So you had to be, you obviously had to be military to go there and whatnot. And they served food, and there were so many other things that you could do there. And so we get there, barely speaking.
What was it called, the Galaxy Club? I
have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea. It was just, and also it was on Mildenhall base. We could have stayed on Lakenheath base, but we just didn't. We went to the base in Mildenhall, England. And so we get there, and just the couple who put us on the blind date, they're trying to talk for us, like try to bridge the gap. It just wasn't working. My blind date got so fed up, he just got up and left. Well, meanwhile, back at the ranch, when he gets up to leave, my friend's husband decides to get up and go as well. Production is doing some things. The blind date had enough, and he just wasn't interested in talking anymore. And so my friend, whose husband obviously was there, got up to go and tend to him and see what he wanted to do. I was not fazed by this at all. And so my friend, she went to see what they were doing. While she left, I was at this table by myself, which, some people might be like, oh, were you sad? Absolutely not. I was not. I was like, I just wasn't sad.
So you didn't want the date to continue?
No.
You would have left if he hadn't left.
Right. And, but because I rode with them, then I was stuck, and this is before Uber and Lyft too. All you had were taxis. So once I knew that, it wasn't going over well, I, took in my surroundings, happened to look over at the table next to me. And there was 3 guys sitting at that table, and they looked like they were having an amazing time. They were laughing, talking, joking. Actually, I think there was 4 people at the table, not 3. Production, am I right? Was it 3 or 4 people at the table?
How production now?
3. So the guys that were sitting at the table, they were having an amazing time. They were laughing and joking, and that's part of my personality. I like to laugh and, and everything. And so I was like, they look like they're having a good time. So I was like, excuse me, guys, I'm sitting at this table by myself. Do you all mind if I join you guys? And they were like, oh, no, sure, fine. So I scooted my little chair over, and I happened to scoot it next to this guy who was really nice, but very shy and whatnot. And so he started talking to me, and at first I was like,
Some
okay.
people don't talk.
Well, I was sitting next to him, so you're kind of forced at that point in time to say anything, unless you just sit there awkwardly.
Awkwardly is fine.
Awkwardly is fine. I'm a very awkward
quote.
person myself. So, but he was shy, but he was still trying to talk. And so, all I wanted to do though is, make sure that he wasn't married, because or anything like that. So I was like, you good? And he was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not married, anything like that. So we kept talking, and meanwhile back at the ranch, we keep talking. The two people who were at the table with him, they're talking to each other, we're talking to each other, and we're talking so much, and we find so much common interest that we get up from that table and get our own table. Now some of you may
so your person that you're talking to, the really shy person, abandoned his friends?
Abandoned his friends. I don't look at this as abandoned. He was just like, hey, we're just going to go over here.
And abandoned you guys.
And so we moved to another table, and we were talking and talking. And then it just subsequently happened from there. So we met October 12th, 2 days after his birthday. He proposed November 30th of the same year, and we were married February 28th of the following year.
Your courtship before proposal was exactly 1 month.
Oh, don't say it like that.
Just a curious question. How long have you guys been married?
We've been married now for... How long have we been married, production?
You don't know?
I think...
You got married in 1998.
27 years.
27 years.
Great.
We'll be... Come February, it'll be 28. Right? Yeah. It'll be 28 come February.
Well, the my little side of it.
So the thing is one thing that they often ask is, how do I feel about blind dating? How do I feel now? Would I have done the same thing back then? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Were people safer back then, Mother?
The sarcasm.
I only asked about the time because, like if you marry someone inside of a month, you're like, oh, okay, it's really good because you're great. And then if you don't end up, dying in the first year, they're not crazy. So 27 years, you're still
Well, almost 28 now. I think we're closer to 20. We've known each other for 28 now, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've known each other for 28. So been married.
Did you guys celebrate your October 12th meeting date?
We remind each other of it. Yeah, yeah. So it's
coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and but what I would say is blind dating now is totally different though. If you came home,
I would be the most knowledgeable source on this because you've been married for 7 years. It's not like that at all.
No.
If I met someone in a month, because I don't know how it is, but with the internet and everything that is the internet, you just don't know who people are until you're on the date with them. So people it's a quick joke. Like if you're on like a dating app and you see pictures of this person, you just naturally assume at least 3 of them are photoshopped. And Photoshop was not as prevalent or probably even a thing like it is now.
Oh no, a thing. It didn't even exist. There was. How would you Photoshop? We didn't. Was there PowerPoint? We did have PowerPoint, but it wasn't like it is today.
It's Google's 25th birthday, so it had to exist in some.
It did exist, but it didn't exist in the state in which
nobody, a lot of people did not have access to Photoshop all their pictures. Maybe blurring them so people can't see problems, but you couldn't do what you do now. And so you naturally just assume when you're talking to someone that 3 of their photos are not really them.
That's really sad.
And you do.
So I will say this. But I will say blind dating now, if you came home and said, I met somebody and I'm getting married in a month, I'd be like, no. But I will say, hypocritical. So hypocritical? Yes. I would have to say in this...
It's like, yes, I'm fully acknowledging.
I'm fully acknowledging that it is hypocritical for me right now to say, like, if you came and said, I met this person October 10th, and then they proposed November 10th or November 30th, I'll be like, whoa.
You probably would kind of embellish it a little bit. You would be like, I met them 6 weeks ago instead of a month, because a month sounds so much shorter than 6 weeks. But still, I don't think I would do that.
No, so yeah, I definitely would be nervous about that. I would be, but I will say, does it change my thinking that serendipitous things can happen? Change my thinking or feeling that like spontaneous things can happen and that people can meet randomly? I mean, people make friends like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, people make friends like that, right? Like,
yeah, but you're not creating a soul bond with them for the rest of your eternity like you would in a marriage thing. Because once you get married, what's yours is mine, and what's mine is yours. But when you're making a friendship, you're not making any type of those, what is it called? They're not called laws. Promises. You're not making any of those promises, not like literally you are thinking not gonna betray
but then the question is, do people date the same though?
Date the same? Not anymore.
Are people as invested when they date now?
I actually like
and then I have to ask myself, like, what was I thinking? I don't know.
Can I speak? in today's day and age, dating is not like, it's hard to find it. It's hard to actually find someone that is genuinely trying to get to know you. You being the opportune word. And so when you're going on a date, you still don't even know if this is a date until you finish eating. And if they say, I hope to see you next time, you're like, oh, good. So it's a lot different. And
yeah, I think it's different. I mean, I would say, like, it just doesn't work the same. So I don't even think our situation will work the same today as it did then.
Like, Mom and I, when we were in the car, we were planning like out this like video, we were talking about how the love back then doesn't exist like the love right now.
Wait, hold up. But I disagreed with her then.
Wait, no, that's not what I meant. So I was the type of person where we didn't have cable, so we just had a lot of movies. And we watched a lot of those movies. So we watched like Pride and Prejudice. We watched like Anne and Green Gables, all of them, the 1985 version.
Oh, North and South. That was, she loves that show.
I just said Anne and Green Gables. Where did you get in North and South and Belle and all of these movies? Belle 2023, not Beauty and the Beast. Just clarifying that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. If you haven't seen that movie, you should watch it.
It's based off a true story, so that one actually is. The rest of them are not based on true stories.
Based on true timelines, though. But
yeah, but like you don't. And I was like, I want to love like. Oh, what just happened? I want to love like the way that Anne and Gilbert are pining over each other for like all the way through their primary school all the way up, and they just don't tell each other. And then I was like, I want
it's for the movies. But go ahead.
She's ruining it for me. But I was like, I want the love like Darcy and Elizabeth, and it's like
they were rude to each other the entire time.
But it was such. But when they weren't, like towards the end, she's ruining everything. But it's like the ardently admire and love you, like that part. That's the part for me. People don't speak like that anymore.
Exactly.
They're just like, I like the way that dress looks on your body. And you're like, no, I want you to speak poetry to me. Like Belle, and he said, I can't conceive a life without you. Like, poetry. Poetry, people. And then in North and South, he was like...
North and South, though, that's a pretty rough movie.
He was like, I did not tell you how he said, I told you how I'm feeling because I love you. So I didn't mean to ruin your reputation. And it's like, yes, these were things in the day. They don't exist anymore.
And that's why
you shouldn't let your children watch old movies and base their romantic life off of them, because it is hard to find that. So,
but
it just doesn't exist
so
like that.
What do you think about blind dating? Or what is your idea of Like, based on, like, you have parents who met in the serendipitous way, what do you think?
So my thing about blind dating or dating in general, because they're kind of becoming interchangeable with Tinder being what Tinder is. Tinder kind of like sets you up on blind dates. You don't know who you're meeting. And I am, what's the question exactly?
Like, how do you feel when you tell people how your parents met?
No one really is surprised because apparently that was something that commonly happened, meeting someone for a short amount of time and then marrying them. People aren't really surprised by that. If you say, yeah, my sister got married to a guy that she met in December and she met and married him in January, then people are appalled. But if you say, my parents did it, somehow it was a different time.
Well, I'll say this. For a long time, I didn't tell anybody how we met. Because as soon as you would tell them how you met, especially in the younger days when we were just married for a year, 2 years, then we had all the people saying, oh, this isn't going to last, or, oh my goodness, you all didn't know each other very long, did you? You know. And
are any of those people still together? Horrible person. But you gotta ask. Like, I wouldn't send it to someone else. I'd fear that it wouldn't go well for me.
Right, but that's my thing. Like,
I would be scared to say that to someone else.
So, you know, after sharing it maybe once or twice, I just stopped because, you know, why?
You just said we met.
But yeah, and then, but now when we share it, people are like, oh my goodness, now it's like a fairy tale. Then they ask you, do you believe in the fairy tale? And I'm like, no.
Dang.
No.
She just took a moment back and said no.
And the reason why I say no, I don't believe in the fairy tale, because the fairy tale or part of the aspect of us meeting, after you meet, I mean, yeah, you're interested and you're talking and everything, but the work then takes place after that. So that's not fairy tale.
I'm not interested in the fairy tale aspect, though I did quote movies to you guys. I'm interested in the conversations part of dating that no longer exists. People don't talk anymore. And so when you do finally get someone talking, you try to keep it going as long as possible. And sometimes it just always dies. I don't know. It just always ends. But Mom and I were talking, and we were like, one of the things that the reason why that kind of happens, like kind of nowadays, is when you go like on a date with someone, you're going to like a movie or something, places where you don't have to talk, and that became like typical, like normal. You go. And
I always say find places
to go. She was like, go rock climbing, go do this, go do that, like active things where you can talk.
We
to
never
people.
celebrated Halloween growing up as a kid. And but one of the dates that I went on with the hubster, this is a fun one. We went to a haunted forest. Now, mind you, it was really silly of me to do that, considering that I had never seen horror movies or anything like that. So it was a really.
Did you do that because he wanted to go and you wanted to make him happy, or you wanted to go because you wanted to go?
I wanted to go because I thought it would be a fun date, and also we could talk. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, you could talk, you can interact.
You thought you could talk during a haunted house? If you talk, they find you faster.
I thought I was so naive. I thought, when you're standing in line to go in, it was a haunted forest. It was on base. It was, they turned the whole, almost said it was fun. They turned the whole walking trail into a haunted forest. And so I thought, because I ran that trail all the time, I thought, oh, it's going to be fun. And how scary could it actually be? And, so I thought we'd be able to talk in the line, that we'd be able to hang out, and everything. And we did. We talked all the way in that long line. And then, we paid for our tickets and went through. And yeah, that I will never, ever.
What happened?
It's a great date leading up to that. But I feel like I probably embarrassed myself to no end. Thankfully, I don't think the hubster, your dad, actually remembers any of that.
He's smiling, so I know.
I think I fell in the bushes, fell in the woods. I was all over the place. I was screaming. I was trying to get away from. And were friends that your dad had friends who were out there with their significant others, and I was the comedy for everybody. I was running into the woods.
So let me get straight. You know, like in horror movies, when the person's screaming and they keep running directly into the monster.
Yes.
You just kept doing that.
It was so bad. It was so bad that even the people who were dressed up were trying to lead me back to the trail line to stay there, to take her all the way out. They had scared me so much. They just stopped scaring me because by that time
they were probably scaring you by not doing anything else.
I was no longer the one they wanted to scare.
You did get to know a bit about Dad during this day.
Yeah, because he was helping me grab me
Dad
out of the bushes.
A lot about you during this
He
day.
was like telling me, "I wish we never did this. I'm so sorry." He was so kind and thoughtful.
See, you did know something about that doing it.
I was embarrassed. I was crying. I was like, "Lord, get me out of here."
Note, I'm noting that that's not a good date place.
But another good date is to go play pool. That's a good date. Anybody out there have great dating ideas? How did you meet your significant other? If you want to give advice to the young people. And here's my thing, like, in conclusion, our conversations are so varied, and I thought instead of just showing like one aspect of ourselves, I thought let's show many different versions of ourselves on here, so you guys get to know us in our entirety rather than just. So if you have some advice, about dating, for not just for her, but for the young people who are watching, or just people who are watching in general. So you will see in upcoming episodes, like conversations about travel, conversations about family traditions.
Maybe when we get really close to the holidays.
Yeah. Our next one, stay tuned for our next conversation about planes, trains, and automobiles.
I picked the title.
She picked that title. It's going to be fun. But we have a lot that we want to discuss. This is now becoming one of my favorite segments because...
Mine too.
Yeah, because we just get to
talk freely
and just relax. Yeah. So, with that being said, we thank you guys so much for watching. We want to thank production for all of their timekeeping and whatnot, because this feels like it's going to be a long one. And we hope that you all enjoyed it. Let us know what you think in the comments below. How'd you meet your significant other? What advice would you give to the 20-somethings out there, the 30-somethings out there, if you have any advice? And we will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Please like, share, and subscribe.